सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरते उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओमित्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम् न विलक्षणत्वादस्य तथात्वं हि शब्दात्। ब्रह्म अस्य जगतः न उपादान कारणं विलक्षणत्वात् तथात्वं विलक्षणत्वं च शब्दात्। The last Purva Paksha was Shruti Chetana Prakritikatva Balena Jagat Chetanam Eva It Ekadeshi Matam Utthabayati. Last we saw the Ekadeshi Matam, the view of the Ekadeshi of the part Vedantin, Solo Vedantin or part Vedantin. Yobi Kaschit Achakshita. Someone might say this, Shrutva Jagataha Chetana Prakritikam, listening to the Shruti, where Shruti says Chetanam Brahma is Jagat Karanam, Janmadyasya Yataha, Brahman from whom or from which is the creation, sustenance, dissolution of this creation, and therefore the Brahman is Upadana Karanam. Hearing this, tad balenaiva, meaning by arthapatti, Shruti could not have said this. Shruti could not have said that Brahman is or consciousness is Jagat Karanam, material cause, unless the Jagat also was conscious or sentient. Tad balaineva samastam Jagat chetanam avagamishyami. That I will arrive at this conclusion that the whole universe also is chetanam, is sentient, is conscious. Prakriti-rupasya vikare anvaya darshanat. Because we find that Prakriti or material cause, vikara in the effect. The qualities of material cause in here in the effect, darshanat, this is what we commonly find. Therefore, consciousness, which is the nature of Brahman, should inhere also in the Jagat. And therefore, the Jagat also is consciousness by nature. Avibhavanam tu chaitanyasya parinam visheshad bhavati bhavishyati. Then how do you explain that certain things in the world are sentient, most of the things are insentient? If everything was consciousness, then everything should be sentient, with life. How come you find that sentience is not seen everywhere? Avibhavanam tu, it is not absence of consciousness, it is the non-perception or non-manifestation of consciousness. He says, it is not that, so you find tables and chairs as inert, not because consciousness is not there, but parinama visheshad, because consciousness has modified itself in certain way. So when consciousness modified itself in a way of the nature of subtle body, then that is the manifestation of consciousness. If consciousness does not modify itself as subtle body, such as in table chairs, there is no manifestation or perception of consciousness. It is the non-perception and perception of consciousness because of particular modifications. That you do not see consciousness everywhere is not because consciousness is not present everywhere. Yata spashta chaitanyanapi atmanam swapamurchadi avasthasu chaitanyam na vibhavyate. Just as the Atma, the self, is well known to be consciousness in nature. But when that self is not associated with the mind, then even the consciousness of self also is not evident. Swapamurchadi avasthasu, in the states such as sleep, deep sleep, such as the one becomes unconscious, then there is no association of mind, and that's why the consciousness is not evident even of the self which is well known to be consciousness in nature. Evam kashtaloshtadinapi chaitanyam na vibhavaishyate. And similarly also in kashta and loshta, in pieces of wood and clods of earth, there is no mind, there is no subtle body, therefore consciousness is not perceived, not evident. Etasmadeva cha vibhavita abhavitatva krita kritad visheshad रूपादि भावाभावाभ्याम च कार्यकरणा नाम आत्मनाम च चेतनत्व अविशेषे भी गुण प्रधान भावो न विरोच्यते. So next question was, if everything is chetanam, then everything is of the same category. Then how come some chetanam, such as this body mind sense complex, the karya karana, the karya karana upadhi or sanghata, how come it is gaunam, secondary, and atma is pradhanam? Well, atma also is consciousness and the body sense complex also is consciousness. Then both of them are in the same category. Nahi samye sati upakarya upakaraka bhavo bhavati. There cannot be upakarya upakaraka bhava. One thing serves the purpose of the other. So one is served and one is serving. That can be a relationship. Cannot exist between two equal things. nahi pradipo parasparasya upakurutah. Like two lamps, they do not help each other. One lamp does not illumine the other lamp, and vice versa. Similarly, with the body mind sense complex also is conscious according to you, and Atma also is conscious, then how can there be the upakari, upakaraka or mukhya gauna sambandha? Atma, bhokta is mukhya, and body mind are gauna, meaning secondary. So the body mind complex serves the purpose of the consciousness. How can it be if both are consciousness? Says etasmadeva cha vibhavita abhavitatva krutad visheshat. Because there is a vishesha, not in consciousness, but in the manifestation of consciousness. In the Atma, the consciousness is very manifest. In the Anasto Anatma, consciousness is not manifest. It is that difference that creates the relationship of Guna and Pradhana. The Atma is Pradhana and this complex is Guna or secondary. यथा च पार्थिवत्व अविशेषेपि मांससूप ओदनादीनां प्रत्यात्मवर्तिनः विशेषात् परस्पर उपकारित्वं भवति. Just as mams, meat and dal and rice, all of these are equally the modifications of earth. So in that sense they have the same category and still each one of them has its own nature. So because of the peculiarity of nature that each one has, that one helps the other. That the dal helps the rice and rice may help the meat, etc. So each one helps the other, enhances, So eating rice alone, instead of that, eat it as rice, well the taste is enhanced, and that's how dal serves the purpose of rice. And eating only rice alone, dal alone also is no good. So rice also serves the purpose of dal. Thus, we find that even though they are equally the modification of earth, because of peculiarity of nature, that each one serves the purpose of other. Similarly also, even though the self and the body-mind complex are equally consciousness, because of peculiarity of nature, one can serve the purpose of other. Evam ihapya bhavishyati. So in case of the Atma Anatma also, that will happen. Pravibhaga prasiddhyapi ateva na virodsyate. So pravibhaga prasiddhi is well known that the universe consists of sentient and insentient things. That vibhaga is well known. That also can be explained by vibhavanam, avibhavanam, the manifestation and non-manifestation of consciousness. That is explained also the division of the sentient and insentient entities in this universe. So this is Shrutarthapatti. This is the Arthapatti presumption based on what the Shruti says. Shruti says that Brahman, the consciousness, is Jagat Karanam, is the material cause of the universe. Therefore, universe must be consciousness because the qualities of the cause must inhere in the effect. To this the Sankhya replies, Tenapi kathanchit chetana chetanatva lakshanam virakshanatvam parikhriyeta. Suppose we accept a position, then also it is possible that this difference, the vilakshanatvam, this dissimilarity between Brahman and Jagat, of nature of Brahman being conscious and Jagat being unconscious, that dissimilarity can be somehow explained in the way that you have done. Shuddhi ashuddhitva lakshanantu vilakshanatvam naiva parikhriyate. However, we also said that Brahman is Shuddham, ever pure, ever holy. And Jagat is Ashuddham, Sukha Dukkha Mohatmakam. So that Vilakshanatvam, that dissimilarity still remains. And therefore, dissimilarity between Brahman and Jagat continues to remain. Nacha itaradapi vilakshanatvam parihartum shakyate. To be frank with you, even that vilakshanatvam, even that dissimilarity of the conscious and unconscious also cannot be explained away as you have explained. Why? Ityaha tathatvam cha shabdaditi. Because Shruti herself says that some part of the universe is insentient. Shruti herself says. Anavagamyamanam eva hidam loke samastasya vastunah chetanatvam. Even though we don't see, even though you prove with reasoning that the whole universe is consciousness, we don't see it and people don't accept it also. Anavagamyamanam. Even though it is not the common experience of anybody that everything is consciousness, even then. Chetana prakritikatva shravanad shabdat sharanataya kevala utpreksheta. That merely based on the statement that Jagat, the Brahman is Jagat Karanam, simply based on that, you explain away, or you have the position that the whole universe is consciousness, even though that is not anybody's experience. But even then, even that position also, tatcha shabdeneva viruddhyate. This position that you arrive at by shabda, by the statement of Upanishad, is contradicted by other statement of Upanishad. So yours is arthapatti. This conclusion that the whole universe is conscious is by arthapatti, by presumption. Whereas there is a shabda, the statement of the Shruti, which says that part of this universe is unconscious. Yata shabdadapi tathatvam avagamyate. By shabda also, meaning by the words of Shruti also, we find dissimilarity. Tathatva means what? Tathatvam iri prakriti vilakshanatvam kathayate. That even Upanishad also seems to say that Jagat is dissimilar to Brahman, which is consciousness. What is that shabda? Shabda eva vijnanam cha vijnanam cha. So nilayanam cha vijnanam cha satyam cha nrutam cha satyam abhavata. And so Upanishad itself says that satyam of Brahman became vijnanam, the conscious, and avijnanam, unconscious. Iti kasyat vibhagasya achetanatam shravayan. So Shruti says that at least part of the universe is unconscious and part is sentient, part is insentient. Shruti herself says. Therefore, Brahmano vilakshanam acetanam jagat shravayati. The jagat is acetanam, Brahmana vilakshanam, quite dissimilar to Brahman. So, that jagat or the world is acetanam, unconscious, is what the Shruti says in so many words. And so, Ratnabhava said, Shrutarthapatti shabdena bhadyayati bhavaha. Shrutarthapatti. Shrutarthapatti. The presumption based on Shruti is shabdad bhadya. Shabdena bhadya. That certainly is the shabda. The direct evidence, Shruti, is stronger than the presumption, the arthapatti. So that's how the conclusion arrived at by arthapatti presumption is dismissed here or negated here by on the strength of the Shruti or the words directly uttered by the Upanishad. Now continuing the page 357. Shruti sahaya navadhyati uttara sutra vyavartyam shankate. Now Puru Pakshi comes along and says, Shruti sahaya. Hey, our arthapatti also is supported by Shruti. So not only arthapatti, but it is Shruti sahaya. Arthapatti also is supported by Shruti, and therefore it cannot be negated or dismissed by merely Shabda. So we have on our side not only Arthapatti but Shabda. You have on your side Shabda. So Shabda cannot negate or refute what is arrived by Shabda and Arthapatti. So Nanu. So this is the Ashanka that the next sutra answers or refutes. It's a doubt the next sutra refutes. Therefore, sutra vyavartyam shankate. The shanka that the next sutra replies is first presented. Next sutra is, so it is meant for answering a certain doubt. And that doubt is first presented and shown how the next sutra answers that doubt or refutes that doubt. Same thing Nyayana says in the last line, Kevala Shruti Apekshaya Tat Anugrahita Arthapate Baliyastvat. Kevala Shruti Apekshaya, based on mere statement of Shruti, Tad Anugrahita Arthapate Baliyastvat. Arthapati, as supported by the Shruti, is stronger than mere Shruti. Vibhaga Shrutyarthasya Aupacharikatvam. So here somebody says, even this Vijnanam cha Vijnanam is Aupacharikam. So Vibhaga Shruti. Vibhaga Shruti means a statement of the Shruti that talks about Vibhaga or the division of sanction and insanction. So the Sankhya quoted the Taittiriya Shruti, Vijnanam cha Avijnanam cha. That Brahman or God has become Vijnanam and Avijnanam. So this fellow says that should be taken in a secondary sense. It is not to be taken in primary sense because that statement is contradicted by Arthapatti as supported by the Shruti. So Nanu Bhashyakara says, Nanu Chetanatvam api Kvachita Achetanatva abhimatanam Bhutendriyanam Shruyate. No, wait a minute. Chetanatvapi, even the sentiency of achetanatva abhimatana, bhuta indriyanam. See, bhuta, the five elements, the earth, water, fire, etc. Indriyanam, the organs of perception, the organs of action. Bhuta indriyanam. Achetanatva abhimatanam, which are accepted to be unconscious. The five elements are unconscious, sense organs are unconscious. Teshamapi chetanatvam shruyate. But Shruti sometimes describes them also as though they are sentient entities, conscious entities. It is well known that elements such as earth, etc., are unconscious, insentient. And sense organs also are insentient because they are also a product of the five elements in their subtle state. So these bhutas are also the five elements in subtle state and gross state, and indriyas are the products of the five elements in their subtle state. So the Pancha Mahabhuta as well as indriya sense organs are known to be insentient. But sometimes Shruti describes them as though they are sentient entities. Meaning that when Shruti says something is sentient, it may not be in a primary sense, it may be in a secondary sense. So Vijnanam cha Avijnanam cha, that word Vijnanam could very well be in the Aupacharika or secondary sense and not in the primary sense. says Bhashyakara, Yatha Mrut Abbravid Apo Bruvan Iti Tattej Aikshata Ta Apa Aikshanta Iti Cha Evamadya Bhuta Vishaya Chetanatva Shrutihi. Yatha, to illustrate, Mrut Abbravid. In this Shatapada Brahmana it is said, Mrut Abbravid. The earth said, the clay said, Apah Abbravan, the water said. Everybody knows that clay or earth does not say, the water doesn't talk. And still, the Veda says, the earth said, the water spoke. And here itself, in this Chhandogya Upanishad, 6th chapter, which is under consideration, Tat Teja Aikshata, itself says that element fire, Aikshata, deliberated. Taha Apa Aikshanta, and the water deliberated. So element fire deliberated, element water deliberated. What are you talking about? Eating. Evamadya Bhuta Vishaya Chetana Shrutihi. So this and similar statements, they talk about the sentiency of the elements which are well known, Achetanatva Abhimatanam, which are well known to be insentient. Even about them also, the Shruti talks about sentiency. Says Nyaya Nirnaya, Yatha Shabda Tatha Shabdam Adhyahritya Indriya Vishayani Chetanatva Shruti Asti iti Sambadhyate. The word Yatha has to be, because Bhashyakara is Yatha Amrut Abravit and doesn't say Tatha. So Yatha must be Tatha must be connected with Yatha. So Tatha Shabdam Adhyahritya, we should understand that a word Tatha is intended here. Indriya Vishayani Chetanatva Shruti Asti, that there is Shruti which talks about the sentience of the sense organs, that also is to be connected that way. So Bhashyakara says, Indriya Vishayapi Teha ete teha ime Pranaha Aham Shreyase Vivadamanaha Brahma Jagmuhu Iti Teha Vacham Uchuhu Tvam na Udgaya iti evam adya Indriya Vishaya iti. So that's why the word Tatha. So Yatha Bhuta Vishaya Chetana Shrutihi Tatha Indriya Vishaya iti. That's how it will connect. So Indriya Vishayapi. So there is a Shruti here which talks about the sentiency of sense organs also. Tehe me pranaha aham shreyase vivadamanaha brahma jagmuhu. These pranas, these sense organs, the word prana here means sense organs. These sense organs, aham shreyase vivadamanaha, quarreling about the self-supremacy. Aham shreyase. So quarreling or claiming about the self-supremacy, each one of these sense organs claim to be this most supreme. Brahma Jagmuhu, they went to Brahma or Prajapati to get a resolution as to who is the supreme. Idea is that Vivadamanaha, they were quarreling, they were debating. No, that can't be done by unconscious entities. So this shows the sense organs also are conscious entities. Brahma Jagmuhu, they went to Brahma, they also cannot be for insentient or unconscious entities. Says Nyaya Kasau Indriya Vishya Shruti Apekshayam. So which is the Shruti talks about the sentient of sense organs, so it is said there, I think. Mrudadi Shruti Abhimani Devata Vishayata Mukhyartha Sati Vibhaga Shrutehe Upacharitarthatam Na Kalpayati Pariharati. Mrudadi Shruti, the Shruti talking about that earth said and water spoke. Abhimani Devata Vishayataya. When it said earth, you should understand the presiding deity of earth. When the water spoke, you should understand the presiding deity of water spoke. Mukhyartha sati, therefore, that will be taken in the prime. So, Mukhyartha, in the sense of Vibhaga Shrutehe Upacharitarthatam Na Kalpayati. In fact, they should be taken Mukhyartha sati. Because when it is said Mrud, should understand the Mrud Abhimanini Devata. When it says Apaha, then we should understand the presiding deity. So those Shrutis are not to be taken in primary sense, but the Vibhaga Shruti, Vijnanam cha, Avijnanam cha, Upacharitartham na kalpayati. These Shrutis, which are in secondary sense, they do not in any way imagine or establish the Upacharitatvam or the secondariness of the Vibhaga Shruti, Vijnanam cha, Avijnanam cha, Ataha. Therefore, Bhashya says, Ataha Uttaram Pathate. So therefore, since this question arises, that there are statements of the Vedas which appear to suggest that the elements such as water, earth are sentient, the sense organs also are sentient. So, this is an explanation of those statements. The discussion here is ultimately unfolding the meaning of those statements. You know, by this question answers, what the Sutrakara and Bhashyakara are doing are in fact commenting upon the various statements of the Vedas, the Upanishads. Because these doubts will arise in anybody's mind. When they say that the eyes went away for 1 year and then came back and things like that, so you think that eyes are conscious, sentient entity. So it is necessary to understand that what is meant by the word eyes are the presiding deities. Ataha uttaram pathate abhimani vyapadeshastu visheshanugatibhyam. Abhimani vyapadeshastu. It is Abhimani vyapadesha. So when it is said Mrut, Apaha, Pranaha, what is meant is Abhimani vyapadesha. Reference to the presiding deities. So by the words Mrut, etc., what is meant are the presiding vyapadesha is reference or mention. So what is mentioned or referred to is the presiding deities. So this is the pratigna. What is the hetu? Vishesha anugatibhyam. So visheshataha anugatitaha, both the two hetus are given. Vishesha anugatibhyam. So visheshat, anugatehe. So abhimani vyapadeshastu tehi me pranaha aham shese vividmana ityadau na pranadimatrasya vyapadesha. So when the Shruti says that this prana, the sense organs, they debated or quarrel among each other, establishing their own supremacy, then it is not the prana or sense organs that is what is meant by the word prana. Kintu pranadi abhimaninam devatanam vyapadeshah bhavati. However, there is reference to the presiding deity of the elements as well as sense organs. Kutah? On what basis do you say that? Vishesha anugatibhyam. So there are two reasons given here, Vishesha and Anugati. Vishesha is specific distinction, and Anugati because of the movement or going, or the inherence. Anugati can mean both of them. So Vishesha Anugatibhyam etaha vai devataha aham shreyase vividamanaha iti prana. So now Sankhya quotes a statement from Kaushitake. So there is statements quoted here from Shatapada Brahmana and from Chhandogya, but understand that similar statements are found elsewhere also. In Kaushitake Upanishad also, there is this dialogue between these sense organs, trying to prove basically there also this is stated for the purpose of enjoining the meditation upon prana. So through this dialogues or the quarrel, what is meant to be established is that prana, the mukhya prana, is the supreme, and therefore that is worth meditated upon. To show the inferiority of the sense organs and showing superiority of prana is the purpose of these dialogues. Now this dialogue happens in Chhandogya, is mentioned in Brihadaranyaka, is also mentioned in Kaushitaki, even in Prashnopanishad. So in Kaushitaki what is said? Etaha vai devataha aham shreyase vivedamanaha. That word devata is clearly mentioned. This devatas, this presiding deity, is quarreling or debating among each other, establishing their own supremacy. Iti prananam chetanavashena devata shabdena visheshitatvat. So Vishesha, because there the prana sense organs are specified to be none other than the presiding deities. And what is Anugati? Agnir vag bhutva mukham pravishata. Agni, the fire, vag bhutva, having become the speech, entered the mouth. Ityadi mantrarthavadadishu. This arthavada, all of this description of this, it was said in the Aitareya Upanishad that this description of creation etc. is all arthavada, meant for establishing the non-duality of Atma. Atma va idameka evagra asit nanyat kinchana mishat. That's the primary statement. The rest of the Upanishad is meant only to unfold this statement. So long description is given as to how the creation took place. Bhashyakara says all of this one sentence is all arthavada. So mantra arthavada, samaya mantras are there, arthavada is there, sarvatra tat abhimani devatanam anugati shravanat. So we find that Agni vag bhutva, Agni became vag. So Agni is associated with vag. Mukham pravishata, meaning vag or organ of speech is not alone. Agni is associated with that. Agni vag bhutva mukham pravishata. The Agni means the deity fire. Having become the speech, then entered the mouth. So along with the speech there is Anugati. There is also the inherence of the deity fire is there in the element, in the organ, speech organ. Therefore tasmad acetanasya jagatah vailakshanyat na chetana prakritikatvam. Therefore these elements and sense organs are not chetana, they are acetanam. And so our position that Jagat is acetanam, that stands. So now going to the Bhashya. Sutram Vyachaste. Bhashyakara now explains the sutra. Tu shabdah ashankam apanudate. So tu abhimani vyapadeshastu, that word tu in fact discards a ashanka, the doubt that the elements and the sense organs are stated to be conscious, and therefore the world is conscious. That ashanka, this doubt is discarded here by the word tu. Ashanka apanoda prakarameva prakatayati. In what way does this sutra discard that ashanka or the doubt? Bhashyakara explains. Na khalu iti. Na khalu mrut abravit iti evam jatikaya evam jatiyakaya श्रुत्या भूतेन्द्रियाणां चेतनत्वम् आशंकनीयम्. So this is the manner in which Bhashyakara dismisses or discards that ashanka. Na khalu mrut abravit iti evam jatiyaka shrutya. So by the Shruti statement, such as the earth said, by such statement of Shruti, Bhutendriyanam chetanatvam na ashankaniyam. You should not base your claim that the whole universe is conscious or sentient. That claim should not be just based on these statements, or these statements cannot justify that claim. Atra hetutvena sutra bhagam adatte. So why is it so? Normally they would ask the question, Kutaha? That's not asked here. But then the next sentence explains the reason which the sutra gives. Yataha abhimani vyapadesha eshaha. Here by the word earth and by the word water is meant the presiding deity of earth and water, and not the element earth and water. So these statements are taken in secondary sense, not the vibhaga statement vijnanam cha avijnanam cha. This is what Ratnapur also said, mrudadinam vaktruttvadi shrutehe tad abhimani vishayatvat. Because mrud abravit, so mrud is what? Vaktru, meaning that mrut is a speaker. This state Shuddhat Abhimani Vishayatvat, that only refers to the presiding deity. Tatha Vijnanam cha Avijnanam cheti Chetana Achetane Bhaga Shabdasya Upacharitarthatvam Nayuktam. Therefore, based on those statements, Mrudabhavait, you cannot say that Vijnanam cha Avijnanam cha is a secondary sense. In fact, those statements are a secondary sense, Abhimaniti. So, tasya arthamaha. So, hetu, Abhimani Vyapadesha, that's a hetu. The meaning of that is explained by Bhashyakara. The next statement, Mrudaditi. Mrudadi Abhimaninyah Vagadi Abhimaninyascha Chetanaha Devataha Vadana Samvadana Dishu Chetano Chiteshu Vyavahareshu Vyapadishyante न भूतेन्द्रिय मात्रम. अभिमानी व्यपदेशः मृदादि अभिमानिन्यः वागादि अभिमानिन्यश्च. So mृदादि अभिमानिन्यः, the presiding deities of these elements, earth and others, Bhagadevimaninyah, and the presiding deities of the sense organs such as speech, etc. Chetanaha Devataha, the presiding deities who are conscious beings. Vadana samvadanadishu chetanochiteshu vyavahareshu vyapadishyante. So they are the presiding deities who are conscious entities. They are vyapadishyate. They are what are mentioned or referred to when it is said mrut abravit or vag abravit, etc. Vadana samvadanadishu samvadanam vivadaha. Vadana samvadan, they spoke, that debated, they quarreled. So chetan uchiteshu, the vyavahara or the transaction, the kind of activity that normally conscious beings would carry out, namely talking to each other, debating with each other, quarreling with each other. These are the kind of vyavahara or the actions or interaction that the conscious being would generally perform. And such vyavahara or this kind of the action is mentioned about mrut and vak. That means that it refers to the conscious deities and not the unconscious elements of sense organs. Na bhutendriya matram, merely the element or the sense organs are not meant there, not referred there. Says Ratnava, na bhutamatram indriyamatram va chetanattvena vyapadishyate. Don't think that Shruti means to say that earth is actually conscious or the speech is conscious. Lokaveda prasiddha vibhagavada ayogat, because then that statement would only nullify or contradict what is known in Veda. So what is known in Lokaveda, what is prasiddha, what is well known among people, that there are conscious entities, sentient and insentient, that everybody knows. And Vedas also say that Chetanam cha Vijnanam cha Avijnanam cha. So Veda also accepts this distinction. All the distinction between the sentient and insentient will be dismissed or contradicted if you accept this Mrut as the element earth rather than the presiding deity earth. Going to Nyanirana, Bhutamatram Indriyamatram va Chetanatvena Vipadishyamanam na bhavati yatra prashnapurukam hetudvayam aha. That it is not Bhuta, the element, or Indriya, the sense organs, that are meant here to be conscious beings. Idyatra prashnapurukam hetudvayam aha. The two reasons are stated for that as preceded by question kasmaditi. So Bhashyakara says kasmat. So we ask, on what strength, on what basis do you say that? The mrut abarved, mrut does not mean earth, it means presiding deity. And that speech does not mean organ of speech, but presiding deity. On what basis do you say that? So because there are two hetus given, Vishesha Anugatibhyam, Tatra Vishesham Vyasaste, the first hetu Vishesha is explained first by Bhashyakara. So first the hetus are stated, Visheshanugatibhyam. Because of the two reasons, Vishesha and Anugati. There, Vishesham Vyasaste. What is meant by Vishesham? Vishesho hi bhoktrinam bhutendriyanam cha chetana achetana pravibhagalakshanaha prag abhitaha. Vishesho hi bhoktrinam bhutendriyanam cha Chetana, Achetana, Pravibhaga Lakshana. The Sankhya says that already we have stated earlier. In the process of arguing in the earlier sutra, already stated how that achetana is meant to serve the purpose of chetana. How there is a upakarya, upakaraka sambandha. How the achetana is upakaraka. That's how they established, Tasmat acetanam karya karanam. That sense organs, body, etc. are insentient because they serve the purpose of the self, which is the conscious being. And therefore it is already established. That bhutendriya visheshva bhoktrunam, that bhokta or the Atma is conscious being. Bhutendriyanam cha chetana chetanam, and bhutendriyas are unconscious, insentient. That chetana, achetana, pravibhaga lakshana, vishesha. Therefore, that distinction between conscious or sentient and insentient, between bhokta and bhogya, has already been prag abhita, already been stated earlier. You already stated that. Tasya anyatha upattim varayati. Then this Purva Pakshi says, wait a minute, but we have said that everything is Chetanam. You say from your observation that Achetanam serves the purpose of Chetanam. That's the argument, Tarka, the reason given. So the conclusion was given ultimately, Tasmat Achetanam Karya Karanam, or Karya Karanam. The body, sense organs are Achetanam because they serve the purpose of Bhokta, the conscious being. But we said that because Upanishad says that Brahman is Jagat Karanam, so universe must be conscious or sentient. How about that? He says, no, tasya nyatha upattim varayati. That vibhaga cannot be dismissed just like that. Sarva. So Bhashyakara says, Sarva chetanatayam cha asau na upapadyeta. Sarva chetanatayam. If everything except as chetanam, then this vibhaga of upakari, upakaraka, or sentient, insentient, na upadyate, that would not be reasonable at all. That would not be tenable. But Lokaveda Prasiddhi is there, that there is a vibhaga of chetana and achetana. That Anandagiri says that Upakari upakarkatva adhigatehe samyechitat ayogat. So we find this, we have this experience that the body, sense organs, to tasmai devaha balimaharanti. To the Atma, the Devatas, sense organs bring the bali, bring the gift. So this is what is said there, In Taittiriya Upanishad said, Kathopanishad also said, Urdhvam pranam unnayati, apanam pratyagasyati, madhya vamanasyanam vishvedeva upasate. So all the devatas are doing upasana, serving this Atma. So Shruti says that. So avisheshana, if both are equally the conscious entities, upakari upakaraka adhigate samyechita. Therefore, this upakari upakaraka. Shruti says elsewhere also there is upakari upakaraka relationship is there. Adhigate samyechita ayogat. So we have to accept this upakari upakaraka sambandha because Shruti talks about that. Therefore, and that upakari upakaraka or help serving and being served is not possible in equal entities. Samyechita ayogat prasiddhi shrutibhyam. Is our experience that the sense organs, the mind, etc., all are meant for Atma. You see, the eyes do not see for themselves, they see only for the sake of the Atma. Is it not so? The ears do not hear for themselves. So none of these activities carried out at the level of organs of perception or organs of action are meant for themselves. They are meant for somebody else, for the Atma. So therefore, prasiddhi, And Shrutibhyam, Shruti also says, Chetana, Achetana Vibhaga, Avagamat. So why from the experience as well as from the Shruti, this Vibhaga, this distinction of the Chetana and Achetana is very clear. Bhutendriya Vishya Naesha Shruti Hityartha. Therefore, this Shruti, the Mrut Abravit, etc., is not meant to indicate Mrut, but only refer to the presiding deity. Ityartha. Avisheshena Vishesham Vyakhyaya Praneshu Vishesham Visheshato Vyakaroti. Avisheshana means in general. Vishesham Vyakhyaya. That sense organs, Upakari Upakaraka. That way, this division between the sentient, insentient must be there because of the Upakarya, Upakaraka Sambandha. So explaining that Vishesha in general, Praneshu Vishesham Visheshato Vyakaroti. With reference sense organs, specifically that distinction is being shown by Bhashyakar Apichaiti. Or as Ratnavara says, Vishesha Padasya Arthantaramaha. The word Vishesha in the sutra is also explained differently. First on the basis of Upakari Upakaraka Sambandha. Now on the other basis. Apicha Kaushitakinah Prana Samvade Karnamatra Ashanka Vinivruttaye Adhishtatu Chetana Parigrahaya Devata Shabdena Vishimshante Etaha Vai Devataha Aham Shreyase Vivadamanaha Iti Tava Eta Sarva Devataha Prane Nishreyasam Viditva Iti Cha. So Apicha, and further, Kaushitakinah, the followers of the Kaushitaki Shakha ascension, Prana Samvade, when they talk about the Prana Samvada, the dialogue among the prana, the sense organs. So Kaushitaki does not talk about the elements, but it does talk about prana. Prana Samvade. Aham Shreyase, no, Karanamata Shanka, Ashanka, Nivruttaye, Vinivruttaye. That by the word prana is meant only sense organs. That conclusion somebody may arrive at. So when you use the word prana, it is quite likely that somebody may think that they only are talking about sense organs. It's a natural conclusion. So, ashanka vinivruttaye, in order to dispel that doubt that someone may not come to this conclusion that prana means sense organs. Adhishthatru chetana parigrahaya, that you should understand that by the word prana is meant the Adhishthatru Devata, the presiding deity. So for prana to accept presiding deity, Devata Shabdana Vishimshanti, the pranas are even qualified by the word Devata. So pranas are in fact described as Devatas. Devatas mean the deities who are well known as the conscious beings. Etaha vai Devataha. So where elsewhere pranas te haime pranaha, here it says etaha vai devataha. So pranas are specified as devatas or presiding deities. Aham shreyase vividamanaha, thus quarreling among each other for self-supremacy. Tava etaha de sarva devataha prane nishreyasam viditva. Then they all went to Brahmaji. Each one stayed away for 1 year and found that the body was functioning even without them. And so, however, the prana started to leave the body, then all the sense organs also felt that they are being uprooted from their locations. So they all understood that prana is the supreme. So, tava etaha devataha prane nishreyasam viditva, knowing that prana is the supreme. So, and then they all said, so Says Ratnaprabha, Aham Shreyase Swasva Shreshtattvaya Prana Vyodamanaha. What is Aham Shreyase Swasva Shreshtattvaya? For their own, each one's own supremacy. Prana Vyodamanaha. The pranas were debating or quarreling. Iti Ukta Prananam Chetanavadi Devatapadena Visheshitatvat. So for the pranas, the Kaushitagis employ the word Devata specifically. Pranadipadehi Abhimani Vyapadesha. Elsewhere also you must take the same thing. So Kaushitagi specifically states Devata for prana. So elsewhere where Devata is not specifically mentioned, you should include that, because the Shruti is taken to be one body of knowledge. And so what is stated in one place should also be included in another place. Nyaya says the same thing. Vishishanti Vagadin Pranadin iti Sheshaha. So Bhashyakara said, Devata Shabdena Vishimshanti. What? Vagadin Pranadin Vishimshanti. The sense organs such as speech, etc. are specifically stated with Devatas. Aham Shreyase Shreyan Aham ityasmi Prayojanaya. Aham Shreyase Shreyan Aham. I am superior or I am supreme. Iti Prayojanaya, for that purpose. Swakiya Shreshtatvaya means to establish one's own supremacy. Then Nishreyasam Viditva. Nishreyasam Shreshtyam Prane Jnatva. All the sense organs may recognize that Prana is a Shrestha, is a supreme. Tat Anuvartinyah Sarvaha Devataha Babhuvu Ityartha. All Devatas became the followers or the devotees of Prana. They all became the fans of Prana, devotees of Prana. So then second hetu is what? Vishesh Anugatibhyam. Anugati is the second hetu. So Anugatim Bahuda Vyachaste. Anugati means inherence or following or going along. Anugati, going along, is explained variously. Anugatascha, the Bhashyakara says. Anugatascha sarvatra abhimaninyah chetana devataha mantra arthavada itihasa puranadibhyah avagamyante. Anugati, the inherence or going along, is avagamyante. We find this in many, many places. Where? So mantra, in the mantra portion, arthavada portion, all of the arthavada. Itihasa portion, Purana, these are all portion of Veda. Not Itihasa Purana in sense of the Ramayana, etc. But then Itihasa, Bhashyakara in Bhadanyaka Upanishad said all of these are only sections of Veda, because in Vedas also Itihasa like the Urvashi, etc. stated, or Pururava stated, and then there also, of course, Arthavada is plenty, Purana also is stated there, the mythological things. So in all of them we find Anugatasya Sarvatra Abhimaninya Chetanaha Devataha. The Devatas, the presiding deities, who are conscious beings that they follow the sense organs, and therefore they inhere, that they are present along with sense organs, is stated everywhere. That the presiding deities are present wherever sense organs are, because where sense organs go, there the presiding deities also go, and therefore sense organs also are always involved with or possessed of, or they contain the deities, presiding deities also. Anugatascha sarvatra iti bhutendriyadi grahanam. Okay. So sarvatra means bhuteshu, indriyeshu, etc. Samprati karneshu eva devatanugatim shrutitah darshayati. Bhashyakara has not shown how the presiding deities follow the elements also. But we do find in Upanishad Upanishad description how earth is a body, subtle gross body, Agni is the subtle body, etc. So there is always a presiding the subtle body or deity involved with everything. That's how we see in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. What is it? Yaha Prasivyam Tishtan, etc. In the Antaryami Brahmana also it is said that how Antaryami is very much there in all the elements everywhere. But samprati karneshu eva devatanugatim shrutitah darshayati. How the devatas follow the sense organs, Bhashyakara said Agni. Bhashyakara says Agnihi vag bhutva mukham pravishata ittevamadika cha shrutihi karneshu anugrahikam devatam anugatam darshayate. Agni vag bhutva mukham pravishata. Agni, having become the organ of speech, entered the mouth. Aditya chakshur bhutva netre pravishata. So again the Aditya, the Surya, having become the eyes, entered the netra, etc. Iti evamadikacha shrutihi. This is a similar statement of Shruti. Karneshu anugrahikam devatam anugatam darshayati. That along with karana or sense organs, the presiding deities follows the sense organs, go along with them. This and similar statements show that. Meaning karanas are not alone. Don't think that eyes are able to see on their own. Eyes are able to see because of the anugraha. Devatanam so anugrahikam devata. So the devatas, the presiding deities who are blessing. So eyes are enjoying the blessing of the presiding deity, namely sun. Then alone they can perform their function of seeing. The organ of speech also is enjoying the grace of the element, the devata fire, presiding deity fire. Then alone the organ of speech can function. Therefore, it is very clear that an insentient thing can function only when a conscious entity is present, otherwise it cannot. And that everywhere Ishvara is present. Bhishasmad vatah pavade, Bhishode is Surya, that the air, the wind blows, the sun shines, and that the clouds rain. All these things do not happen just by nature. So we do not say that it is matter that does it. Everywhere the presiding deity Ishvara is present. Everywhere. The consciousness is present everywhere. It is because the anugraha, the blessing or the grace of that these inner things are able to perform their functions. Then karneshu eva anugatim vidhantarana nirupayati. How the devatas accompany or follow the sense organs is vidhantarena. In another way also, Bhashyakara explains, nirupayati shows prana iti. Prana samvada vakya sheshe cha teha pranaha prajapatim pitaram etya uchuhu iti श्रेष्ठत्व निर्धारणाय प्रजापति गमनम तद्वचनाच्च ekotkramanena अन्वयव्यतिरेकाभ्याम प्राणश्रैष्ठ्य प्रतिपत्तिः. So word anugati is explained differently also. First, anugati is explained as inherence, that wherever the sense organs are there, the presiding deities are there. Wherever elements are there, the presiding deities are there. So that anugati means inherence or accompaniment. Here anugati means going, you see, gamanam. So prana samvada vakya sheshecha, even in the Chhandogya Upanishad also, in a passage that occurs later in this prana samvada, in the complementary passage which talks about the samvada, the dialogue among the pranas. Subsequently the description is teha pranaha prajapatim pitaram etya uchuhu. Those pranas, prajapatim pitaram, they went to their father Prajapati. Etya, having come there, uchuhu, having come to Prajapati, who is their father, these pranas, sense organs, said. So prana uchuhu iti shreshtatva nirdharanaya Prajapati gamanam. So these pranas also go for shreshtatva nirdharanaya, for ascertaining the supremacy. They went to Prajapati, their father. Tadvachanacha. Then Prajapati told them that by departure of whom among you, by departure of whom the body is left as good as dead. So body becomes lifeless by the departure. That is the real prana. Even though the sense organs are called prana, who is the real prana? By departure of whom the body will become lifeless. So see what happens. So tadvachanacha ekokat kramanena, eka utkramanena, one by one. First the organ of speech went away, eyes went away, ears went away, mind went away, one by one. Anvaya vyatirekabhyam, they went away for 1 year, then they came back, and then the organ of speech asked, hey, how did you function without me? Well, just as a dumb person functions, we did it. Eyes came and said, how did you function without me? Just a blind person functions, so we perform, we function. So, anvaya vyatirekabhyam. So, when they were not there, then also function took place. Therefore, it was very clear that the life in this body is not because of them. Prana shaishtya pratipatti. When prana attempted to depart from this body, all the devata, all the sense organs also felt as though they are being uprooted from their positions. That's how prana shaishtya pratipatti. That's how the knowledge or the conclusion of prana being the supreme, that's how they arrived at. Says Nyaya, kshetrajna adhishtitanam shariranam iva prananam api vyavahara anugatim darshayanti shruti. Just as this body goes from one place to the other, when? When does this body able to move from one place to other? Kshetrajna adhishtitanam. Only when kshetrajna is there, the body can go. If the kshetrajna departs, body can't go from one place to the other. So shariranam iva. This is our experience that the sharira of the body can go from one place to another only when it is presided over by, only when there is the presence of the kshetrajna, presence of the Atma is there, then alone the body can move about. When Atma departs, kshetrajna departs, the body does not move. So it is very clear with reference to body, our experience, that body can perform the movement only when kshetrajna, the self, is there. But prana, it is not clear to us. So Shruti says, prana api vyavahara anugatim darshayanti. Then when the pranas also go from here to Prajapati, what does it mean? It means that kshetrajna or conscious being must be there. So about the body, we know that the body can move and perform activities only when there is kshetrajna, the conscious being is there. But when the prana, we do not know. But prana also go. That means it's very clear that it is possible for them when there is a kshetrajna or conscious being or deity present in prana also. Shruti tesham kshetrajna adhishthānenaiva chaitanyam dridhayati. So by describing how the pranas went from here to Prajapati, dridhayati, although they make it very firm. What? Kshetrajna adhishthānenaiva, that kshetrajna is very much presiding over them, blessing them, present there, then alone the pranas also can go from one place to the other. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So काले आवती काले शुक्रवारे माताजी विद्या प्रकाशन ત્યાં બેસણું તો છે જ 8:30